What's up, everybody? Today in the Boetavia cast, I interviewed Olli Hull. Olli is a creative genius. He is a fashion designer, an artist, and a hairdresser. I made this podcast because I wanted to show people how smart and intelligent and multifaceted hairdressers are, and Olli is the depiction of all of those things. His creative intelligence just goes beyond words. I hope you enjoy the video. If you do, don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy the clip. Oliver Hull, how are you?
Hi,
Thank
I'm very
you
well.
so much for coming on. I know we were just talking before I got this going, and I told you how excited I am. I don't know whether it was I followed you or you followed me like about a year ago, but that's how I kind of like came across your Instagram page. And ever since, I've been like hooked on everything that you've been doing, whether it's
Cool.
with hair, art, and your clothes. Like, I don't know if you did it on purpose, but whenever I see some of your work, whether it's hair, art, or clothes, I'm like, that's Olli. I don't even have to see your emblem or your name over it. And when I have seen it on other people's pages, I'm like, oh, that's Olli. So I have just been captivated by not only the kind of branding and visual aesthetic that you've created for yourself, but just you as a person have really intrigued me, and I'm glad that we are finally getting to talk to each other.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, right. So obviously I've just given a little bit of an intro, but will you, in a few words or however many words you want, just tell me a little bit about you, how you got started with hair, and how that trickled out into everything else?
Okay. Well, my mum's a hairdresser, so I grew up in her salon, sweeping hair, cups of tea, all that jazz. But I always wanted to do art. I had no real interest in hair at the beginning. And then I went to uni and did drawing and illustration. And then after uni, just was really sort of disheartened by how the lack of jobs that there were and the lack of options. And my mum was like, why don't you try hairdressing? And I kind of tried it thinking like, I'm really not going to like this, and just absolutely loved it, fell in love with it. And yeah, was like, I want to go and do this in London. So because I started at the Francesco group, which is the Midlands group, and then I sort of did like a few weeks there just to trial, see if I liked it, and then went to London and joined Brooks and Brooks. And then I was there for 3 years, and then after 3 years, the art started to tap me on the shoulder again, and I knew it was time to like get back into it.
Nice. Okay. So you said 3 years. Had you finished your apprenticeship and your training in those 3 years?
Yeah, I started Brooks and Brooks in October 2016 and trained and qualified a year later. Well, yeah, a year and a bit later, and then I was on the floor for a year.
Okay, right. So you joined in your third year, you trained for a year, and then you were on the floor for a year working with Brooks and Brooks.
Yeah.
I actually still remember you and Brooks and Brooks posting about your graduation and the clothes that you made.
Oh, really?
And the hair that you did. Like, I remember it like it was yesterday, because we actually qualified kind of around the same time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I put my heart and soul into my graduation, and it was like a kind of intergalactic time warp theme, and I was like so in love with it. And then I don't know, I think you may have done it like a couple of weeks after I did, and I saw yours and I was like, oh, okay, mine wasn't like that. So yeah, I loved it. I loved it. So for anyone who doesn't know, Brooks and Brooks is a huge name in creative hairdressing, not just in London, not just in the UK, but in the world. Like, they are a huge creative force, and Sally Brooks and Jamie Brooks are incredible, like two workhorses. How much of an influence artistically do you think they have impacted you, if at all?
Massively. Absolutely massively. Like, when I joined Brooks and Brooks, I was very unsure of myself, very artistically and creatively naive. I was quite underconfident. And Sally Brooks, she really has a way of seeing what people's strengths are and then pushing them in that direction. It's really funny. She was the first person that said, I was entering L'Oreal Colour Trophy, the Star Award, and she was like, I think you should paint a suit. And I was like, oh, cool, yeah, let's do it. And I painted a suit, and that was the first piece of clothing that I painted, and then that's where it started from. It sort of took off from there.
Unreal.
So
I
yeah.
feel like such a fangirl because I knew the answer to that question before I asked, but that's incredible. And Sally Brooks is just an incredible woman. I've met her on a few occasions. My girlfriend actually met her as well on a kind of embarrassing occasion, but we won't go into that. So just when you were saying there to me before we came on, you were talking about how you were kind of always into art and you kind of fell into hair. So knowing that it was always something that you want to do, did you feel like you knew that you were going to go into it, or was it like you kind of fell into it at some stage then after you started making the clothes again and the art tapping you on the shoulder?
I've not really been. When I first got into it, I sort of knew in my head 3 years. I was like, I'll probably hairdress for 3 years. But then when I got into it, I was like, oh, I'll do this until it feels right. I was really enjoying it. But I try and not plan too far ahead. And then when something comes up or I get an idea, I'm like, let's just go with it. It was a really hard decision leaving Brooks because I'd done a lot there and I was starting to build up a clientele, and I loved it. It was great. And it's quite a risky move being like, I'm just going to quit my job and become an artist with no savings. But yeah, I just got this urge. It's like something just told me I had to do it and just went with it.
How did you go about leaving?
I spent about a month and a half driving my boyfriend insane. Should I leave? Shouldn't I leave? Should I leave? Shouldn't I leave? Until he was like, you obviously want to leave. So it's just about doing it the right way. I wrote a really honest letter explaining my sort of dilemma to Sally and Jamie, you know, that I was really happy there, but that I felt like I wanted to explore other sides of my creativity and that it was time for that. And Sally completely understood. I was so scared, but she came into the office and straight away gave me a hug and was like, you've got to go and do what you've got to do, and the door's always open. And that's all I needed to hear.
That is the sign of an amazing woman and an amazing boss. That is incredible. So you left, and was the idea to go do clothes, or was it to go and do art, or both, or what was the idea?
Kind of both. I didn't have a set goal. I was like, I felt like I was onto something creatively with the clothes and the art. And I was like, I just know I need to give this a lot of time. I need to spend most of my time doing this so that I can see where it goes.
Okay. And you were only saying there, you touched on that you recently made it to London Fashion Week?
Yeah, I showcased in February, just gone.
Wow. And how was that?
It was surreal. It was a bit of a pinch me moment. Sort of 6 months prior to that, when I was leaving, it was like, that just didn't even seem like it would be on the cards. But yeah, it was amazing.
How did it come about? Did you approach them? Did someone approach you?
Someone approached me on Instagram. It's quite funny. I got a message, and I just hit junk on it because you know how you get a lot of messages and they're usually about things that are just not important. And I think I just didn't read it properly and junked it, and then was like going through my messages and found this, and it was like, it was on the Sunday they were doing a showcase for like new designers, people that hadn't been doing it very long, like up and coming. Yeah, that's what it said in the email. And it was like the deadline for applications is, I can't remember what date it was, but it was yesterday, the day before. And I was like, oh my God, how have I missed this? So I like rang up frantically and was like, I've just read this email that you sent me, and I really want to do it. And I sent them pictures of my work, and then I went for an interview, and it just went from there.
No way.
Yeah.
That is such a testimony to how good your work really is. When the deadline was the day after you rang, and you rang up and were like, "Yeah, no, listen, I know that was the deadline, but like, I still want to do it," and they just totally abandoned on their word and went and got you on. So I mean,
Yeah, I
that
felt
that
very.
in what you just said justifies everything that I said at the start of this interview, and that's so cool. I love that, Ollie. So obviously, hitting on the fashion week is a big milestone for your clothes. How are you getting on with your art at the moment?
Well, quite good. I mean, when I launched the clothes, it was kind of like I didn't want to just do that. I wanted to do art as well because I think they go hand in hand. Um, and I had my launch, and after my launch, that was in October. I was like, right, I'm going to spend a month now getting back into art. And then obviously London Fashion Week happened, and that took up like another 2 months. And after that, I was like, right, now I'm going to get into art. And then the pandemic happened, and it was kind of perfect timing because I was very distracted. I'd been really busy for 6 months, and so mentally my head was all over the place. And the thought of sitting down in isolation with my art and getting back into it was kind of daunting. But having all of your distractions taken away overnight, it was kind of like, wow, I have to use this as an opportunity now to isolate and get back in touch with it. And so, yeah, it's gone really well recently.
Unreal. I love it. Okay, I've got a question. It's not very easy to answer, but
Okay.
I'll ask it anyway. How would you describe your style or your whatever it is, your visual aesthetic? How would you describe?
Um, it's a process of. Good question. I haven't been asked this before. um, I think it's an ongoing process of me exploring who I am, what the world is, and what I want to say about it. I think everything I do is me trying to work something out. My paintings are often like direct responses to something I felt, like if I've been really angry, or if I've had a really bad anxiety attack, or if something's really bothered me in the news. It's like that kind of channels into it. So I think, and the aesthetic as well is me working out how things look together. I think it's all just me working everything out. It's my way of understanding things.
That is a beautiful answer. And for somebody who has never had to even think about that answer before, that was spot on. Right. The next thing I want to ask you is, so I know a good few people that I have worked with, not just in my salon and not just in like whatever. I've worked with a good few people that have entered the hairdressing community, the hairdressing industry, in hopes of breaking into the fashion world, breaking into other art forms. And some have been and some have not been successful. What words would you have for somebody who is trying to do what you have just done?
You have to persevere, and you have to have a good relationship with failure, and accepting that things like you're going to fail a few times and it's going to be really horrible and you're going to feel like shit, but it's that keeps testing you and teaching you. And I think my biggest failures were my biggest lessons, and that's kind of how you have to see it. And just trying to get out there, trying to meet people, trying to put your name out there, trying to, I think, just keep going even when you get knocked back. It sounds like really corny advice, but I think that's it. You just have to, you get knocked down and you stand back up again and reevaluate and reassess.
Are there any particular instances off the top of your head that you can think that like was a big failure to you, but has in turn kind of driven you on?
I think my final basic test at Brooks, at Brooks you do a final basic where you present all your basic haircuts, and then after your final basic is your final, which is you learning how to use all the rules. And my final basic was not good. It was passable, but it was, I was so rigid and afraid to break the rules and afraid to be creative with it. That was a failure, but it was one that I really learned from, because, you know, Sally sort of sat me down and was like, you need to put you into this. These were boring haircuts. They weren't, I didn't see you in it. From that, it was, you know, a lesson in being, well, it would be better to put yourself into something and it fail than do something that you don't even care about and fail. It you know, which one would you rather have?
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. Oh, yeah, okay. Like, that's, I wasn't even ready for that, but that was sick. So, okay, the next thing is, do you still do hair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you do hair? I know you were saying to me that you do it on a freelance basis, but how does that work with everything else that you do?
I have some home hair clients in London that come around to the house, or I go to them. And my mum's salon is in Stoke-on-Trent. So I'll sort of I don't go up every week. I was at one point, but now I go up sort of every other week to every 4 weeks and do like 2 or 3 fully booked days and then come back to London.
Wow.
Yeah, because my mum retired and she had a client base, so it was like, I might as well go up, and I knew all the clients anyway because I'd grown up with them.
That's so interesting. So you actually go up, you still work behind the chair sometimes?
Yeah.
Wow. And you're like the boy who went to London and made it, and now you're coming back. I'd say they love that.
Yeah, they do. It's cute. It's
Oh,
funny.
that's
My mum's got pictures of them holding me as babies because they were her clients from years ago. So it's quite sweet. It's like family. I
so
think
there's a
that's how.
load of older women walking around Stoke-on-Trent with the newest, most creative haircuts.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I hope they're all wearing your clothes too. That's the next step.
I don't think that it'd suit them. I don't think it's very. Um,
Who would you say your clothes suit? Who are your clothes for?
I think me. I think that I make stuff that I think I would want to wear. It's funny because I don't really think about a target audience, which I probably should. Probably should be like, who could I see wearing this?
Please don't ever change what you just
Okay.
said, because, man, like, your stuff is incredible, and if you start thinking what other people are gonna want to wear, like, there's something so special to me about what you do and the stuff you make. And if you started even trying to tailor it more to me, I would like it less. I love it so much because I don't even know you, but when I look at your stuff, I'm like, oh, that's Olli. Like, that is so, so sick.
Thank you.
So don't ever
Yeah,
change that.
I think that's something you have to remind yourself as a creative, because once you start getting recognized a little bit, you then are like, oh, something's going right. I need to like keep focusing on what's going right or tailor it in some way to be more accessible. But in doing that, then you sort of lose touch with that, doing it for yourself and doing it for the love of doing it.
Wow. How does your boyfriend find working, or not working, but like living amongst this?
He's a musician, so he's kind of used to this sort of, with that, when we live together, it's he's upstairs writing all day, I'm downstairs painting all day, and then we'll have lunch or we'll like go for a walk in the evening or go out. It's very like and it's cool because I'll listen to one of his songs and give him feedback, and I'll show him something of mine and he'll give me feedback. And because I don't know anything about music and he doesn't know anything about art, it's like a fresh perspective, which is cool.
Oh my God, I'm actually like kind of tearing up. That is like the cutest shit ever. Oh my God. Wow. That is a match made in heaven. It's like something out of a movie. Oh,
Yeah,
brilliant.
I have to put up with the noise and he puts up with the mess.
And yeah, probably the madness as well of having to deal with a creative such as yourself.
Yeah, I'm sure you have something to say about that.
Maybe we'll have him on now after this, and we can ask him what the real story is.
Yeah, you could tell some stories for sure.
Just to round things up, I've loved this. I love this conversation. I'm really glad that we've got to have this chat. I really hope that someday we do come across each other. And I don't know if you know or if you have seen like the other stuff that I've been posted on my page, but the whole idea of this podcast was actually to, like, for me to do hair with somebody else, and we would like talk about what we're doing, about what we're creating, the look we're making. While we're doing it, I would also do the interview questions, and that was all going to be filmed and put into like a kind of show almost. And I would love if, when all of this blows over, that might be something that we could do together in
Yeah, that's really fun.
some kind of form, and whether that's you totally do the clothes or we both do the hair together or whatever. I think that would be super cool, and I'd love to have you on when that part of the show finally gets to become a reality, because it was supposed to become a reality the week of lockdown.
Bad timing, but yeah, I would love to. That sounds really cool.
Sweet. So I'll definitely keep you in the loop for that. And just all of those things considered, is there anything for anyone that's watching this that you would give advice on chasing what you're chasing?
Want to do and do it really well. The only advice I could give. I don't think I'm qualified to give any other advice.
I love that you've just said that, and I love that like you have that sort of humbleness to you. But dude, you have something great, and I am like super happy to have had this conversation. I'm super happy to even be in a bubble that is even close to the stuff that you've created and put together. I don't even know you, and I'm super proud of you, and I really hope that you continue to do all of the sick things that you're doing. And I wish you like the very best with all of that, because I think your work is incredible. And I really hope that anybody watching this goes, looks at your stuff and feels the things that I feel when I see that stuff.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I've really, really enjoyed it.
Olli, thank you so much for coming on. I will keep in touch. I'll send you over a few bits of like the stuff that I have for this over the next few days, and hopefully when this is all over we can meet up and get that hair show.
Yeah, that'd be exciting.
Olli, have a great day, have a great weekend. Thank you so much. See you later.
Thanks for having me. Thanks.
I hope you enjoyed today's podcast. I know I really enjoyed making it. Olli is an absolute genius, and thank you so much, Olli, for coming on. Really enjoyed it. I hope you all did too. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one. Cracky.